All right. Got the camera sorted out just a little bit. Sorry, the other one didn't work this time, but that's okay. I hope everyone can hear me. I want to welcome everyone back that has been here before. And I also want to let all of you know that even if you miss this, there's always the replay. Be sure to check your notifications also. So happy Friday. It's been, sorry, I'm just kicking. It's been pretty hot here in Texas. So this is what you have to look at, unless you just want to listen for a little while. But today, we're going to keep expounding on the things that have been really going on in this world. Last time we were talking about programming, television, mind control kind of things. This time we're going to go with a lot of the experiments that were done, the successes, and how that's affecting you and our biblical future, along with great deceptions. Okay, the technology that they have now is it's not even comparable to the work that I'm able to show you today, because a lot of this is stuff they did half a century ago, okay, maybe 30 years ago. And what they were doing back then was pretty amazing. Okay, a lot of you still might not believe what our government, United States, CIA, military was actually doing, but they weren't. You thought it was just movies, right? Back to the Future, time travel. No, they did it. They did. But we're not talking about time travel, I don't think, today. But we are going to talk about some other things that they did, some documentation to go along with it. Hello, Ellen, Nancy, Bonnie, Dan, Carol, Joseph, and Connie. Good to see all of you. Oh, yeah, it's hot, right? I knew it'd be hot in Louisiana, too. I just knew it. Very bad things. Yes, they have not been up to good things. They have not. Hello, Clarissa. The cats are trying to stay cool. They're doing pretty good. They're doing all right. Thank you for asking. Okay. All right, let's get started. You need to know secret paranormal phenomenon studies in the military. What I have in the description box is going to be all of the links that you want or need concerning this, especially this PDF I'm going to be reading called it's Enhancing Human Performances, Issues, Theories, and Techniques from 1988. We're going to be reading subsection Paranormal Phenomena. The link for that is in the description box, along with links to my backup channels, my PayPal address, if any of you are feeling generous. Also, I have links for Daily Excellence and Off-Grid Farming with Paul and Adrian. And we're hoping to get a live together in the near future, everybody together. That'll be really nice. Okay. One of the foundation piece of information that I really want y'all to get into your head right now is an institute that was behind a lot of this and still is. Like, they've been there pretty much from the beginning, and it was called Stanford Research Institute, but now it's known as SRI International. It's an independent, nonprofit research institute headquartered in Menlo Park, California, with a rich history of supporting government and industry. We create and deliver world-changing solutions for a safer, healthier, and more sustainable future. That's what they said. Okay? You're going to need to know that, because Stanford Research Institute is a main staple in this dish that's been going on. You'll see. All right. One of the studies. No, we're not going to skip ahead. We're not doing that. No way. Okay. We're going to start by reading. Okay. Parapsychologists divide PSI, The term applied to all psychic phenomena into two broad categories: parapsychologists, extrasensory perception, ESP, and psychokinesis, PK. All right. Included in ESP are telepathy. That's, I can't remember what telepathy is. Isn't that like reading minds? Precognition, you can see something before it happens. Clairvoyance, you can see something, I guess, that has happened, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But there's telepathy, precognition, and clairvoyance, all of which refer to methods of gathering information about objects or thoughts without the intervention of known sensory mechanisms. They're just basically saying there are things that people can do. They study these people that get information from places that aren't normal. All right. Popularly called mind over matter, PK, or psychokinesis, refers to the influence of thoughts upon objects. It's basically moving objects without intervention of known physical processes, meaning you're moving that object, but nobody touched it, no machinery touched it. There wasn't even a puff of wind from the mind. A presentation to the committee by several military officers described in some detail the results of experiments in remote viewing carried out at both SRI International and the Engineering Anomalies Research Laboratory at Princeton University. In these experiments, subjects are said to have more or less accurately described a geographical location being visited by a target team. And often this is what they do. They'll run these tests to see if you can find what they call targets, and targets can be a geographical location. It can also be a person, or it can be either of those in a time other than the present that you are currently in. So if you're looking for someone in the future or in the past, you can do that. It's true. Okay. It's, where were we? Yeah. Well, we're talking about psychokinesis, are we? Yeah. Moving objects without the mind. With the mind. Okay, so this presentation included discussion of psychic mind-altering techniques, the levitation claims of transcendental meditation groups, psychotronic weapons, meaning weapons of the mind. Psychotronic weapons. Wow. Psychic metal bending, dowsing, thought photography, and bioenergy transfer. It was indicated that the Soviet Union is far ahead of the United States in developing potential applications of such paranormal phenomena. In particular, psychically controlling and influencing minds at a distance, which that's what I call pushing. All right, now they've got all these technical words. Telekinesis, you can move objects, right? That's what it was. Electrokinesis, it has to do with electricity. I know that a prophet tells the future. A seer, otherwise known as a remote viewer, a messenger, or an angel, they're revelators, and they can see backwards, forward in time as they will. And they reveal secrets of the Most High to humans, things we don't know. But that they have other words, like scientific words for a lot of this. So I'm trying to get my grasp here on a lot of this. I do understand most of it, but it's like I used to know some of this and I forgot. Anyway, I'm probably starting to lose some of you guys, but this is what they were doing in the military. This book was written in 88. A lot of the reports for the book were out by 1984, but the experiments were done in the 1970s, at least for a lot of this chapter. Okay. The claimed phenomena and applications range from the incredible to the outrageously incredible. The anti-missile time warp, for example, is supposed to somehow deflect attack by nuclear warheads so that they will transcend time and explode among the ancient dinosaurs, thereby leaving us unharmed but destroying many dinosaurs and presumably some of our evolutionary ancestors. Now, if any of you were listening to Mike from Around the World last night, he was talking about time and how you could dilate that time between a person and another object. Is it possible he was talking about this anti-missile time warp? That same technology could do this. I mean, wouldn't that be something if what people thought was a big rock from space that left that crater around the Yucatan Peninsula was actually a time warped missile? It's supposed to somehow deflect that attack. Okay, hold on a second. There's something. I left my mouse over there. Just gonna check the chat super fast. Okay, now when it comes to levitation, that's not really a godly thing. That's more of a demonic thing. And you'll notice that in this paper, there isn't a mention of Jesus. And there's also, like I said, the terms that the Bible would use for a lot of these things, they're changed to other words like telekinesis or telepathy. But while the government was sitting there calling everybody crazy and conspiracy theories and you're all wearing your tinfoil hats, they were actually doing this. So they wanted the corner market on anything paranormal. They did. So they needed y'all to, first of all, not know that they were doing this. And second of all, they needed you not to believe that it's even possible. And for more than one reason, obviously. Spiritual battle, right? All right. Okay, so what they end up talking about in this article, in part, is enhancing human performance, remote viewing. Basically, they only got into geographical locations, though, but they talked about something else called RNG experiments. RNG meaning random number generation experiments, okay? And there was a machine and it did these random number generating these numbers, but it would be like zeros and ones, like binary code. But it would somehow end up, this program, this hardware would somehow end up predicting certain events in the future. And Cliff High, the WebBot guy, had a lot of, I guess, he had the run on everybody else, but the work had originally been done in the military, in the CIA, under that umbrella. But Cliff High did have the technology to start putting out these binary guesses. But, a computer can't be right completely, maybe even not then. But now we have quantum computing, and it does discuss that. Quantum computing transcended our universe into parallel universes to communicate with other quantum computers in other parallel universes using a language of their very own. That has happened. And so it takes the WebBot thing to that next level. It's a quantum jump. So when you start talking about quantum computing and RNG experiments, it naturally leads you to research on what they were doing over what they call collective human consciousness. And it was called the Global Consciousness Project. It was also called the EGG Project. It's a parapsychology experiment begun in 1998 as an attempt to detect possible interactions of global consciousness with physical stems. See, global consciousness wasn't really a word back in the 90s, but it did show up the last 25 years. It did. If this experimenting was done in 98, it just wasn't like big around town, the word, but after that, everybody, they use that word, those phrases a lot. But it's they wanted to detect possible interactions of global consciousness with physical systems. The project monitors a geographically distributed network of hardware random number generators in a bid to identify anomalous outputs that correlate with widespread emotional responses. So they're looking for a lot of emotional responses. So that they can detect when and where in time and what in time. It's through the emotions. How many of us times have I said they work through our emotions, control you? But they do. It's the truth, okay? But it'll correlate. Their big emotional responses will correlate to sets of world events, okay? So that's basically where Cliff High, the Webback guy, the Global Consciousness Project. Now, so they, even back then, they were trying to get in your head. So you take Global Consciousness Project and add another 25 years to it. Now they're trying to plug into our brain, put chips on our brains. You see what I'm saying? Oh, it has all these medical benefits. Oh, for you or for me, or, who's in control of this, because it certainly isn't us. Right? But that's where the it's all leading up to when you take the mark, if you take the mark, whoever decides to take that mark, they get moved to the back seat, like more of the subconscious place. They can see, but they can't control anything anymore. Something else will be in control when they take that mark. Something else will take over all of their decision makings. And that is another reason you can never repent, because it's really the last thing you'll ever do is you. Because they're going to take control of your mind. They want to read your mind. They want to know every little thought. They want to punish you for thought crimes. Do you see where this has all been going? This is what they've been doing. Global Consciousness Project. Anything with a word project on it with the military is just, okay. And Stanford Research Institute. Oh, and don't forget NASA. NASA's always in on this. Why do you think they never give you a straight answer? Okay. Now, this chapter also talks about the Ganzeld effect, from German for complete field. That's what it means. Basically, what they do is they use sensory deprivation. And it's a phenomenon of perception caused by exposure to an unstructured, uniform stimulation field. They do have, what they do is they can do a sensory deprivation, but they also have a like this shaped thing, this shaped wall metal thing that helps somehow with the shape. Also, I'm not kidding, helps the brain pick up more. It's something about the design of it. But in this, when the Ganzeld effect was really starting to get going, the result they were looking for is that they wanted to amplify neural noise for the brain in order to look for the missing visual signals. All right. So what they also did is people now, I don't know if you've heard of them, they have what they call PK parties. And PK parties, they're bending spoons. They're having parties to bend spoons with their minds. Have y'all heard of those? Those parties that happen now stemmed from experiments. Okay, so what the government knows is that the mind is a very, very powerful place. What the government knows is that paranormal phenomenon is a thing. That people have abilities beyond what you might consider normal. And that would be very powerful if people believe that they're capable of connecting with God, if they know that there's a God, if they realize the miracles that God can work through us. They wouldn't want that. I'm not all about levitating, but I know that the time of miracles is returning. And the whole thing about getting through this is belief and faith in God. And we know that we're going to see things and be able to do things that we never thought possible because we're believers, because we're going to go through something very spiritual, very serious. You understand? And belief, calling people crazy, disregarding stories. There was another thing in this article that talked about plants and that they, through the polygraph machine, let me see if I wrote this down. Yeah, they what they did is they could tell that the plants were reacting to perceived danger around them or niceness. Like there was even an experiment done to such a point where later there was a One Step Beyond. It's old 50s or 60s show, right? Called One Step Beyond, where there was a documented case of somebody getting murdered in a flower shop, and they didn't know who it was. So a guy heard about the plant experiments, so he hooked one up to a polygraph machine and started walking people in one at a time. The plant did nothing all day long. They were tired. They were like, oh, I guess this isn't going to work. So they decided they're going to be done for the day. And before they could do anything, somebody walks in the door. I think it's somebody that worked there. The machine started going nuts. They found who killed the woman in the plant shop. That actually happened. It wasn't just a show. It wasn't just something that happened. But they realized that plants are living. I mean, yeah, of course they are, but they realized finally to what depth, okay? 5G, 6G frequency doesn't help protect your head, mind, helmet of salvation. That's right. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. They even came out with an article, and it says, Cleve Baxter, 1924 to 2013, a CIA interrogation specialist, was famous for unconventionally testing plants with his polygraph machine, aka lie detector. And the title of this has something to do with plants can read your mind. That's what it says in the title. Baxter wasn't a scientist or a botanist. He made his living by testing lie detectors with suspects. A polygraph is essentially used to test suspects if they're speaking the truth or not. It observes 3 indicators of autonomic arousal: heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and skin conductivity. It graphs the 3 parameters in real time. And if there's a high rise in the graphs, it evidences against the suspect. All right. Hold on. He says it started in 1966 when he was watering a Dracaena plant in his office. All right. Moment 1, a plant read his mind. Baxter wanted to know if a plant experiences pain, so he decided to set fire to a leaf of the Dracaena plant in his office, and something very interesting happened. Just as he thought of grabbing a matchbox to fire it, the polygraph showed an increase in the graph. Not only the plant indicated its fear, but also read his mind. Moment 2, a plant complained about a guy who stamped on it. Moment 3, your body cells respond to your emotions even when they aren't inside you. And in this experiment, what they had done is they took like your spit and they were looking for some kind of cells. And this also, they did sperm cells from donors, and they did some spinning and added some saline and hooked into some wires, and then subjected the person who had spit in that experiment, the donor, to certain things away from where he was. And it didn't matter that he might have been in another building. If he experienced another emotion or high emotion, the spit was reading it. And that's what they say. Your body cells respond to your emotions even when they aren't inside you. And the greatest distance they tested was 300 miles. He also believes it works from space. If Elon Musk read this, he'll probably send Leica 2 to Mars and records its experience with a polygraph machine. Does donated blood or organs still respond to the donor's emotions or to acceptor's emotions? Did I discover a new paradox today? Now, that's funny because a lot of people that have donor organs will experience food cravings that they never had before, emotions they never had before. So it makes a lot of sense. They say rest in peace even to bacteria. Baxter once had to pour boiling water down his sink because he needed the tea kettle for something else. A plant responded to this. He didn't understand why it felt so. In another experiment, he put a cup of yogurt and dropped antibiotics inside it. Another yogurt cup near it showed a huge response to the death of bacteria in this first cup. Then he found out that they respond to death. In the first case, it was for the bacteria in the sink drain. So when you give samples of blood, semen, hair, saliva, you're giving them a lot more than you think you are. Okay, there's a part of you that's somewhere else. What's the signal being picked up by the cells? Baxter said, I don't know. He said it teleports. I believe that. So it doesn't take time for the signal to go to the distance. It just goes at the instant without any delay. Is it another dimension? I don't think it's another dimension. What I think it is that people see space this way, right? As a line. But what if you can fold space and go right to the spot you're supposed to? Does that make sense? What if that's kind of how it is? It's like maybe distance for electricity isn't the same as what distance is for us physically. You made it to alive. That's awesome. It's very, very awesome. Just want to say hello again to everybody. Lorena, Nancy G, very grateful, and Russell. I'm not good at scrolling up. Oh, there we go. Maybe I can scroll up now. No, I can't see these comments. There they are. Okay, well, we're just gonna not worry about that for now. I hope y'all are enjoying this. I really do. Because if it was important enough for them to read plants and know about ESP and extrasensory perceptions and the ability to move objects without using any hands or motorized things, they did everything. All right. They know what potential that humans actually have. Now, because we don't know, they can use all that against us. So that's even more of a reason to wake up and make sure that, yeah, you're covered with God, but also that if he has something that he wants to anoint, and I'm talking the Father, the Holy of Holies, Jesus Christ, Dad, that's who I'm talking about. If he wants to anoint you, that you accept that you can believe on that gift and understand that you are more than what you think you are, because the government sure does. And believe me, you don't want to know less about yourself than they do. Okay? That's the truth. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Anybody ever had a PK party or heard of one? Because they do have them. I'm not kidding. But I mean, how would beginners know if they bent the spoon or if somebody in the room that actually knows how actually bent it for you. That'd be a good one. All right. Let's go back to the article. Yeah, the anti-missile time warp thing, that was amazing. Okay, it says potential military applications. Some people, including some military decision makers, can imagine potential military applications of the two broad categories of psychic phenomena. In their view, ESP, if real and controllable, could be used for intelligence gathering, and because it includes precognition, ESP could also be used to anticipate the actions of an enemy. It is believed that PK, if realizable, might be used to jam enemy computers, prematurely trigger nuclear weapons. Did you hear that? Prematurely trigger nuclear weapons. So when the day comes when people go, nobody knows who started it. I mean, seriously, I mean, plausible deniability, cloaking. Okay, it says more specific applications envisioned involved behavior modification, inducing sickness, disorientation. That sounds like witchcraft. Or even death in a distant enemy, communicating with submarines, planting thoughts. That's pushing. And individuals without their knowledge. That's pushing. Absolutely, that's pushing. Hypnotizing individuals at a distance. That's also pushing. Psychotronic weapons of various kinds, psychic shields to protect sensitive information. So, like, if you know something that you don't want anybody else to know and you don't want another remote viewer to catch that, then they have what they call psychic shields, so techniques to make sure that nobody, it's blocked, access denied kind of thing. We've got the helmet of God protect us, but it's important. You have to protect your mind, your thoughts. You really do. You have to pay attention to what you're thinking, even what you're feeling, because like when you think about when a woman is feeling hormonal, whether she's going through puberty or she's pregnant or what's that, change of life, sometimes the emotions that you're feeling are not real. They feel real, but they're not. It's not something you'd normally be bothered by, whatever it is. Oh, you left the Coca-Cola on the bar. All right. Yeah. Sometimes I'm telling you, there is mental warfare. This is really supernatural stuff that's really happening. Okay. And you may not believe me now, but you will. I promise you. You think this is Star Trek? No, the future's now, baby. Future is now, and they're after your mind. They ain't just after your kids, baby. They are after you, your kids, and every generation after you, if you're allowed to live that long. Okay. What else does this document say? All right. They talked about even able to cause people to have mass delusions so that they think something is real, but it's not. Okay, and they have evidence about that too. Standards of evidence, minimal criteria, global criteria, evaluation of scientific evidence. But I mean, seriously, SRI remote viewing program. Since the early 1970s, probably the best known research program in parapsychology, early 1970s, has been the experiments in remote viewing initiated by physicists Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ when they were at SRI International. In a typical remote viewing experiment, a subject or percipient remains in a room or laboratory with an experimenter, while a target team, these remote viewers get teams, yes, they do, visits a randomly selected geographical site. Okay, well, in this, they're talking about a team that's visiting while the person's trying to remote view, but these remote viewers also get a team around them, like psychologists, scientists, doctors, whole team. All right, it tells you all about it. Let me see. There was more in here. Just want to make sure I got through most of it because I really don't want to bore you. If there's any more that you want to see about it, please check that out in the description box. The link is there, among other links. Now, also, when you think about the fact that 4th of July is coming up, let freedom ring, you think about how much freedom we've lost because we don't know what we're capable of. We don't believe, but the government does, and they now have weapons against us. And unless we learn, we've got to learn what they're doing. That we've got to know, because that will tell you everything about what they're planning to do still to you and your family and everybody you've ever known and loved and ever will. Okay? So think about that this 4th of July. Also, I wanted to talk about just briefly about how Mike mentioned last night that the Gulf of Mexico was on fire again, and that last week he was saying there are heat anomalies, and he was talking about magma. Don't forget, I told y'all there was something going to happen in the Gulf of Mexico. I told y'all 7, 8 years ago. I've mentioned it since then over time. And now it's finally starting to come out. Oh, yeah, there's something wrong in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, there are volcanoes down there, and it can blow. Told you. Told you. All right. I think that's it. There's something else I want to get into next week. It's going to probably be parallel universes and the Mandela effect, because they're related. Hello, Robin. It's good to see you again, sister. And Ben. Oh, yeah. I guess I already said hi, Ben. Hi, Cat J. Oh, God. I'm hoping for rain, Cat J. That's for real. Oh, well, thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much. Well, it's coming. It's ramping up. The magma's rising, and all kinds of crazy stuff is going on in the Gulf of Mexico. Out of a list of 3 places he was most worried about, Mike, he said Japan, Italy, and then he goes straight to the Gulf. I'm like, on a list of 3 that he was worried the most of, the Gulf of Mexico. I've even done videos in the past about future coastal migrations, moving away from the coast. I've talked about it many, many times, saying you think the Gulf of Mexico is safe, that there's nothing down there, you're wrong. Because there are going to be a lot of deaths one day. A lot. Because I don't know why this never got out. Maybe they made everybody so poor they couldn't afford to move. That's probably what happened. But anyway, I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to cook some dinner, get ready for my weekend, especially Sabbath is starting any minute. Well, in the next hour-ish. I love you guys. God bless you all. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye.